That's another subject. Big time. We'll get Harrison Ford on here.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. But all this plastic keeps me safe, so shut your mouth and know your own. Salutations and welcome to the Nerd Invasion Podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and with me is my co-host, Dave. Say hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
In each episode, we'll be discussing all those great nerd topics like gaming, movies, comics, toys, and more. So with our debut episode, we're going to jump right in and tackle one of the biggest nerd topics out there, Star Wars. Now, to save material for future episodes, we're only going to be discussing the 1977 film and not the toys or other media or films in the series, as I'm sure we could literally talk for days about Star Wars.
And we will.
Exactly. So with this being our first episode, I just want to say a couple of things real quick. Thanks for tuning in, and just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a longtime nerd and toy collector, and my friend Dave here is going to tell you a little about himself.
Oh, yeah, toy collector, longtime nerd, big, huge Star Wars geek. From way back.
Well, let's jump into it. Like I said, today we're going to be discussing the 1977 film Star Wars. Star Wars was released theatrically in the United States on May 25th in 1977. It earned $461 million in the U.S. and $314 million overseas, totaling $775 million, surpassing Jaws from 1975 to become the highest-grossing film of all time until the release of E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1982. When adjusted for inflation, Star Wars is the second highest-grossing film in North America and the third highest-grossing film in the world. It received 10 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, winning 7. It was among the first films to be selected as part of the U.S. Library of Congress National Film Registry as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. At the time, it was the most recent film on the registry and only one chosen from the 1970s. Its soundtrack was added to the U.S. National Recording Registry in 2004. Today, it's often regarded as one of the best films of all time, as well as one of the most important films in the history of motion pictures. It launched an industry of tie-in products including TV series, spin-offs, novels, comic books, and video games, merchandise including toys, games, and clothing. The film's success led to two critically and commercially successful sequels, The Empire Strikes Back in 1980 and Return of the Jedi in 1983. Star Wars was reissued multiple times at Lucas' behest, incorporating many changes, including modified computer-generated effects, altered dialogue, re-edited shots, remixed soundtracks, and added scenes. A prequel trilogy was released in 1999 and followed by a sequel trilogy beginning in 2015. In 2016, Rogue One was released as a direct prequel to the original Star Wars film. So Dave, what was your first encounter with Star Wars? Not necessarily the first time you saw it, but the first time it entered your consciousness. Do you have a story for that?
Yeah, the only thing I can recall as a young lad was the... I believe they had the preview, trailer that would come out on the TV. And as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to see this. This looks totally different than anything we grew up watching, the Godzilla films and King Kong and those old films there. This entered something totally new. It was huge to us kids. It was giving us kids, almost like Lucas giving us kids something more and expanding our mind and going, oh my gosh, wow, a new galaxy far away and they're having this battle, and that's only, brief little snippets that they show. So yeah, that was my first.
Right. Well, I remember, I'm pretty sure it must have been a kindergarten field trip to what was then called Santa Claus Land, now known as Holiday World, a theme park in Indiana. And we were on a ride where you could put several kids at once. I think there was probably 3 or 4 of us in this little shell that, I suppose, rotated or whatever. But one of the girls said, hey, let's play Star Wars. And I said, what's that? And they were just like, what? You haven't seen Star Wars yet? And at that point, I hadn't. And I don't think I'd actually saw the movie until one of the later releases, not the original May release. I know the movie was in theaters for a year, something crazy.
Yeah, we were talking about that, you and I, a month ago or something like that.
Right.
And, continue.
I think it was around that time that I said, "Hey, Mom, what's this Star Wars thing? You know, we got to go check this out." And I honestly, you know, I can't. The other movies, which I said we weren't going to talk about, I have much more vivid memories of seeing those in the theater. But I think just because of my age, I just don't. Going to see it, I didn't have. There wasn't a moment that really stuck out. It was so overwhelming. I think it just instantly became part of me, and it was like I don't even remember, you know, the first experience with it. But how about you? I think you said you.
Yeah, we were talking about that, you and I, the other day. My dad took me to it. It might have been the May release. I don't know. You know, being a small town of Coshocton, Ohio, may or may not have. I don't know. I know we went to see it, and as a kid, again, it was just like the trailer. It was phenomenal. I walked out of there wanting to be Han Solo. You know, that was my first hero character I wanted to be. I didn't even know who Harrison Ford was. I just wanted to be Han Solo.
Right.
You know, and I thought C-3PO was funny. You know, he brought the comic relief to the show, and it opened my mind to droids. Up to this point, I didn't really think too much about robots or anything like that. And then it was like, robots.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Who's this Wookiee too? This you know, hairy walking carpet feller. You know, all these other things, and it introduces, like, one of the vivid scenes I can remember in my mind, and I may be fast forwarding too much here, was the cantina scene, and you know we haven't gotten up to that point yet. So, but that was wild. To them walking into this bar, what's what it was, you know, canteen, and all these, Lucas introducing us to all these different characters who now have origin stories. Every one of them does. You know, that's the thing. Who are they? Wow, why do they look the way that, you know, where are they from? Why do they look like they are and act the way they are? And why does one pick a fight with Luke, who's just getting a drink? You know, go ahead and elaborate yourself on, you know, what you thought when you first saw it.
Well, you know, like I said, it was so amazing. You know, I don't remember anything of the theater experience, but I remember seeing it, renting it a bunch on tape. As a kid. You know?
Yep, same here. Worn out.
And we used to get, I think, rent videos from Curtis Mathis, which is a store that's long since gone out of business. But we rented, my sister, we would always rent this Disney tape that had Chip and Dale, I think, on it, and then we would rent Star Wars or the Apple Dumpling Gang. But you know, and I remember watching it, you know, just over and over again. And you know, in first grade, I remember writing. We had to learn how to write our name on that paper that had the extra big lines for kids, so you can learn your alphabet. And we were supposed to write our name. Well, I wrote Han instead of Jeff.
Oh, how
and
cool!
I wrote, and of course, you know,
see, we both had the same character that we loved.
Right?
Yeah.
And my teacher didn't think that was too great. So anyway,
you know, now, okay, so you got to the point where you're talking about you rented it, and so that part can probably be more vivid in your mind. Like me with the cantina, the Sand People, and the Death Star scene at the end. Those probably the 3 or 4 in the movies I remember watching. But like you, it came more when we got to watch it on tape or the big laser disc, which I'm sure we're going to get to in a minute, which I've got a story on that too. So was there a scene in there that grabbed you?
I think it was. I think the droids. I think, like you said, it was such a new concept, and you know, the scenes like in the Sandcrawler with all the different droids.
Oh, I know.
You know, and of course the cantina. But I think that
the droids are right off the beginning too.
Right.
You know, right, the battle scene at the beginning. What a way to start a movie.
Right.
That's if you want to start a movie, folks, start it with a battle scene. I mean, just go right at it, you know.
Well, you know, and maybe we're jumping ahead, but exactly, think about how many movies now open that way.
Yeah,
you know?
But what I'm alluding to is the droids right on there. As soon as the battle scene's over, you see C-3PO and another this other C-3PO unit behind him,
the silver one,
the silver one who goes his own way.
Yeah. It makes you really want to know more, and that's why it's good in some ways that the universe has been so expanded over the years. Some stuff I can do without. But,
Amen.
You know, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So you know, I'd kind of jumped ahead and talked about the VHS. Of course, I've got a copy of the old VHS right here. Now, this isn't an original release. I believe this is an '85 release.
That's still cool.
But you know, it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
We, like I said, we rented it a bunch on VHS. Now, you said you had a Laserdisc story about it.
Yeah, when I moved around a lot when I was a kid, and so my first vivid memory of not even watching it on tape was a Laserdisc. It was in Wapello, Iowa. My friend Jonathan Douglas, I can even remember his full name. That's wild. Much as I moved around.
Right.
His dad had the big, and he just bought it.
Wow.
Which
right?
was probably about a good $100.
Oh, sure.
It was expensive. Now
yeah.
you can get them and use them for shot put.
Right.
But and he chunked it in, and everything. I about spilled my water. He chunked it in, and I'm getting too excited. And we watched it. And I remember it was just the theater again. Now, by this time, we're not going to talk about toys, but by this time, I had some of the action figures.
Right.
That's a later date that, oh my gosh, we can't wait to get to. Maybe, the Star Wars, original Star Wars figures. But so it popped it in, and again, it just all come back. And I think I went to the theater maybe once or twice more to watch it. Maybe once more.
Well, it was released a few times.
You told me that.
Again, before Empire, it was released.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to go see it here, and they didn't get the film. And me and Mom went to the theater to get it, and they were like, well, the film didn't show up today. And I was so disappointed.
Mother of pearl cream.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, did you get to watch it on Laserdisc?
I don't think I've seen a Laserdisc later in life, but back then I don't think so.
I remember my mom showing up, because it was a school night,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and we popped it in a little bit late, and my mom showed me up at the Death Star scene to pick me up, and I made her wait. I was like, you gotta wait.
Right.
I mean, there's only about 10 more minutes, so you gotta wait. So she had to patiently sit there, and, because Star Wars wasn't really her thing, but, and of course, got to watch it all, and then on the way home, you're driving in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure, absolutely. And, other, we had the storybooks that came out.
Yeah.
And so, we could just relive the story again.
Oh, is this the ones with the pictures?
Yeah.
I think I have one of it's the Return. We can't talk about that yet,
Right.
but it's the Return of the Jedi one. But I had the storybooks.
Yeah, and then they had little blurbs that had like Chewbacca, and then it said 200-year-old Wookiee and things like that. A little bit of information you didn't get in the movie.
Yeah, and actually, I think it had extra pictures like of Biggs in there. And you're like, I don't remember seeing that.
Right.
Yeah, in the film.
Yeah, and those scenes were also in the. I think it was Fisher Price that put out. It was a little camera. You put the cartridge in, you held it up to the light, and you turned it, and the big scenes were in that. Yeah,
cool.
It's crazy. But anyhow, so Star Wars comes out. It's a huge cultural phenomenon. It's everywhere. Clothes, T-shirts, toys, which we'll talk about all that stuff at some point.
Yeah.
But we kept waiting. When's it going to be on TV? When's it going to be on TV?
Well, and before you get to that, you should talk about the holiday special comes out before it's on
sure.
TV.
Yeah, you're right.
So don't jump the gun here yet, buddy.
You're right.
Sorry, I had to pull back the reins on it because we're just like, our goosebumps. You can't see us, but the goosebumps are up right now. So
right,
we're nerding out.
So in November of, I believe, 1978, a year after Star Wars had come out, the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special was released. And I believe it was Steve, I want to say Steve Miner, or maybe Steve Bender. Maybe I should look that up just to be sure.
Yeah, don't quote us on that just right yet.
Right.
But he's getting to it.
But there is... it was a holiday special put together. It was basically a variety show with the Star Wars universe as a framing device. It was only aired once.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. If you've ever seen it, you'll know the cast was mainly made up of TV stars from the time. B. Arthur, Harvey Korman.
But it actually had some of the original actors. Harrison Ford was in it, and Peter Mayhew.
Everybody was in it.
Yeah, and is this the one where the actual has words to Star Wars?
Right, Carrie Fisher. As Princess
unfortunately
Leia
sings that song. Yeah,
at the end, a little off key, but and the opening of that show is 20 minutes of just Chewbacca's family.
Yeah,
if you've never seen it, the plot is basically Han is trying to get Chewbacca home in time for the Wookiee Celebration Life Day.
Yeah.
And now the holiday special, it came before it was in the holiday season. It wasn't necessarily Christmas or Thanksgiving, but it was just called the holiday special.
Yeah.
I think it aired actually the week before Halloween, excuse me, the week before Thanksgiving.
Right.
But
Cool.
yeah,
I remember it. I remember my dad grumbling over it when I was watching it. My mom and dad were divorced, so I was staying with my dad when it came on. It came on the weekend, I think.
Right.
And I remember watching. And he was like, "I don't want to watch. This is stupid," you know.
yeah.
But I'm like, "Shh, be quiet." Of
Right.
course, you don't say that to dad, but I was like, wait. You know, it's not very long, Dad. Trust me. But yeah, of course. Now looking back on it, yeah, oof. It was a stretch.
Something. It's a stretch. Yeah. The thing that most people remember, or the one thing that people still respect, was the small animated segments that introduced Boba Fett.
Yeah, now, see, I don't remember that. You'll have to elaborate on that.
Okay. Well, and what's funny about that is you don't remember it, and it's one of the only things that I remembered from the holiday
now,
special.
I remember what you're talking about. The Wookiee scenes is what I remember
because
the
there
most.
was no English or no subtitles.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
right growling, and the cartoon. There was an animated section in the middle that was animated by Nelvana, which is a Canadian company, and you can find it on YouTube.
Oh, I'll have to watch
and,
this.
Yeah, and it's basically Boba Fett's introduction to the series. It's his first time he's been introduced.
Well.
And I don't remember the overall plot.
I was going to say, is there
of the cartoon?
Yeah, is it a
itself.
background of Boba Fett?
It is Han, Luke, and Chewie, I guess, and the droids are they crash on this planet, and Boba Fett helps them, but he's already captured Han and Chewie.
Oh.
And he's trying to capture Luke too, and he starts out as a friend. It's a strange little cartoon.
that is kind of strange for Boba Fett,
Yeah.
but unless he's up to something, which sounds like he was. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And the animation is very strange. If you remember have you seen the film Heavy Metal?
Yeah.
Okay, the animation is like some of
cool.
the weird animation in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
neat. I like Heavy Metal.
Harrison Ford's face is like real long, and it's got this very distinct chin, and his eyes are almost closed. You know, it's a strange cartoon. But because it only aired once, that stuck with me, and for a long time, I never could figure out where, until much later on, meeting up with people who also, love Star Wars as you get to an adult and in college years and all that, and you find people that, want to talk about it as much as you do. And then it's like, oh, that was a real thing,
Well, Boba Fett ends up in the cartoon droids, which we'll talk about later on, too, when we probably get to 80s.
And they're the same company. Now, that's the same company that did the droids in the Ewoks cartoon. Oh, I know they did the droids.
It's the same one. Okay.
Animation, yeah. That they did that. And then, of course, it's most... got a lot of musical numbers in it. B. Arthur sings.
Yeah, she does, unfortunately.
And if you can give me a second, I think it's Diane Cannon.
And all the Golden Girls are in there. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I know somebody's going to write in on that one. No, they're not.
Right. But it was definitely a unique... If you've never seen it, and believe me, it's 2 hours.
Oh,
and
Lord.
it's just...
Yeah,
you
I
have to
remember
see
being
it
long. It was
once. I know a lot of people will sit through it once just to say they've seen it. And I know a lot of people who say it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You don't have to see it. Just skip it. But I think it's worthy of at least one viewing.
Sure.
It's
if
a
you
bizarre,
are a true Star Wars, you got to watch it, man.
Yeah, if you're a true Star
if you
Wars
could put
fan.
up with Phantom Menace, you could put up with
There's a hot take, and we're jumping ahead again. But that's if there's a lot of things in the Star Wars universe that are not as palatable. So if you can put up with that, then you could put up with with the holiday special.
So you're fast forwarding up now. We've got up to where you can watch it on Laserdisc.
Right.
And
you can watch it on home video. And
now it's on home video, and we're there.
And I believe I want to say it was 83. I could be wrong, and I should probably have researched this a little better. Let me look this up. But I believe the first time Star Wars was aired on network TV was in the early 80s.
There you go.
I think, of course, it had been on probably HBO before. It was in 1980. See, Star Wars had its television debut in the UK in 82, but in February 26, 1984, that CBS aired it for the first time.
I think I remember that.
So it's even after Return of the Jedi has come out before CBS has aired it for the first time.
I'm sure if you guys are like us, you probably watched it and was like, bam, back again.
Oh, absolutely. And I even remember making such a big deal out of it that I drew tickets and gave one to my mom, my dad, and my sister.
Oh, how cool.
And then I took my mom had this like thing you hang laundry on wheels, and I put it in front of the TV and hung a curtain in front of it so I could like pull back.
That's so creative.
And reveal the TV.
Not me. I just got my Star Wars figures around me and hugged them. Literally,
Right.
was playing with them while watching it, trying to act out the scenes. I don't know if
sure.
you did this, but I did it all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, I didn't have at first as a kid, and I know I'm jumping. I know we're talking. I'm trying to stay away from toys, and I can't help
well,
it.
we're not going to be too specific.
No,
You can go
but
ahead and-
I didn't have the Death Star at first, so I had this little cabinet thing that had 3 stories, and I pretended like it was the Death Star.
Oh, sure.
So,
yeah, I used a bookshelf as
Bookshelf,
the same thing.
that's what it was, yeah.
No, I had the Death Star playset.
So we were playing toys while watching this and acting out the scenes.
Oh yeah, you know, and like I said, I made such a big deal. It was like a real theater experience at my house, and you know, it was such a. From that point on, it's been with us.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's just now it's part of your life. You know, and for you grow up, you've got 2 more movies that come out. You watch them, you know, and you carry it with you. And then in the mid 90s, there was kind of a resurgence with the books.
Yeah.
And then
And now you're getting up to the point, because there's not much more we could talk about without diving into merchandise, and that's another subject. So now we're through the 80s. You know, I don't know about you, but I probably rented it or got it out of the library. You know, so much that they're probably like, yeah, we know what you want.
Right. Oh,
and
sure.
I watched it again and again and again. And me and my friends would play Star Wars all the time. And I was either, because I was kind of tall. I mean, I was solo sometimes, but I was usually either the Wookiee or sometimes I was C-3PO. But I loved being, if I could be Han Solo, that's who I wanted to be.
Oh, sure.
You know, unless somebody else picked it. You know,
Right.
you did the potato thing, mama, your mom, you know.
Sure.
And if you had one, fist left, you know, you were in it. Yeah, I got it.
It's so funny because it's the exact opposite with me, because I was a short kid and my friends were all taller than me, and I was usually playing Darth Vader.
Really?
And I had people.
Now Darth Vader's tall.
Yeah, and you know, and Larry would be Luke, and you know, he was, even as kids, he was a foot taller than me.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here trying to threaten him as Darth Vader, and he's supposed to be intimidated as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, no, I love to be solo, but being tall, oftentimes I was Chewbacca doing the sound,
Right.
and the growl sound, which my kids still want me to do today, to my wife's chagrin there.
Right.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm married, so. So yeah, we played Star Wars, and actually just 2 blocks down the road here is where I kind of grew up, at Ben Ollie Court, and all us kids would get out, and it was great because we had just enough people to play on each side, and you know, we had a girl to play, you know, Princess Leia, and my buddy Ryan was Luke because he was shorter, and you know, everybody was just picked out precisely, and we had these scenarios. We'd either play Star Wars or we'd come up with our own scenarios. You know, oh no, Luke's captured. We've got to go rescue.
Right. That was the great thing, because when the movie ended, the good guys had won, but you still had Darth Vader, and
So-
he's spinning off into space. So what happens next?
And you hit the key word there, spin. You did your own spin-off.
Right,
Okay, Darth
exactly.
Vader goes out, and he's still in pursuit for them, or whatever you wanted to do.
We didn't know there was going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
So we could make up our own universe.
Yeah.
And like, you know, with just lightly touching on it, the toys were our universe. You know, that was our gateway to continue the story.
Yeah, it was.
Until we found out that the Empire was going to be striking back within a couple of years.
Oh man, I can't wait. That's my favorite. Can't wait to talk about that one. So now we're up to
This is the mid '90s. You got the books coming out. You've got and then Kenner starts with these things called the Action Masters, which were die-cast figures, and then they bring the toys back.
Yeah.
Then we've got in 1997 the Star Wars Special Edition. Okay, so that was released in January of 1997.
Keep going.
Lucas had gone back to the drawing board, so to speak. He had taken the original film, thanks to the magic of Jurassic Park, the animation. He decided to go back and put in new scenes, redo scenes, add computer, generated effects to where there had never been any. And a lot of longtime fans, we were just excited to see it back in the theater. I remember going to see the movie Mars Attacks, and the first trailer was for the re-release of the movies, and I was in tears at the end of that trailer. I was just like, yes, oh my gosh, because Star Wars had not been in the theater in 30 years. Or, well, yeah, it'd been 20 years, right? So
something like that. I had mixed feelings. I'm a little bit opposite. I mean, I was happy about it. I was couldn't wait. But I was scared of what they were going to do, and some of it I was right.
Right. Oh,
And we're going to get to.
Right. Well, so we're in the theater, and right off the bat, I'm noticing in the opening battle.
Weren't you sitting behind me?
Yeah, and I think so.
Yeah, you and Chris was, wasn't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
And we were like pointing out, or I could already like, oh, is that a new scene? Like every second, I was like, is that new? Is that new? And the laser blast just had this new, they were more vibrant. It seemed like there was a lot of purple or something. Anyway.
Well, and the scene, it was more crisp too.
Yeah.
Than what we had on tape, obviously.
You know.
I'm going to tell you right away. Oh, my disappointment that I think they should have left alone, and that was the cantina scene.
Oh yeah.
I think they put these computer animated or blue screened new creatures in there in place of the old creatures.
Right,
which is what I like the one that looked like a Wolfman thing.
Right.
They replaced him, and he ended up being an action figure.
Oh yeah.
Later on. Why replace that man? That kid, that monster, whatever you want to call him, was cool. We were talking about the. Stick with the cantina scene right now. Now, unless that's not the first scene. What's the first scene that they edit? Do you remember?
I know the first time that it's both like wow and like no was the entrance into Mos Eisley.
Okay.
You're coming in. You've got the little womp rats. You've got the big Ronto that goes.
Oh, yes. Did you like that?
At first, yeah, and then no.
Watch it. Yeah, I'm the same way. Same exact way, dude. At the theater, obviously you're all geared up. I think that's a part of it. Your adrenaline's busting, and you're going, oh yeah, this is cool. And you watch it again next time. Yeah, you watch it again, or it sits in, and you're like, yeah, why did he do that?
The obvious sticking point that everybody always brings up, and it's been talked about to death, but this is our opportunity to talk about it. The Han Greedo scene.
Oh, okay. What about it?
Here we go. Greedo.
So you're getting past the you agree with me on the cantina, leaving out old monsters.
Right.
I think if they were going to, and we're getting to the Greedo, I apologize for stepping on you there. I think if they're going to introduce new monsters, they should have done it separately and leave the old monsters still there.
Right. Well, there is a scene they put in where the land speeder goes by. You see a rebel transport in the background, and these robots that they introduced, and they're called ASP droids.
Yeah.
And one of them bonks the little probe droid on the head.
Yeah.
All right. Well, see, that's the type of scene that it's harmless. It shouldn't. I don't know why it's there.
Yeah, I agree.
But if they're like you said, if they're gonna put in new critters, do it in a scene like that.
Yeah.
That you can just kind of like blink.
Oh, I see the comparison. What you're doing. Yeah.
And then it can the film continues. on.
Yeah. The cantina is so big that they could actually have done that.
Yeah. Just cut to another scene.
Yeah.
Oh, here's our new Gleep Glops. They're over here.
Yeah. So that leads us up. Luke had his fight. That was cool. Still had it in there. Thank God.
Yeah, they didn't change anything there.
And then we get to them negotiating, talking. Luke and Ben and all that. They leave. Right. And then enters Greedo. Go ahead.
Enters Greedo, right? So then for years, we know this scene. It sets up Han Solo as a guy who doesn't play around.
Right.
He's
kind of cowboyish.
Right. He's a shoot first, ask questions later. He's in it for himself, and he only looks out for himself. So at the end of the movie, when he comes back to save the day, you're like, hey, there's a character arc. Mm-hmm. Well, Georgie thought that it was kind of cold-blooded of Han to shoot first. So he went in and had digitally altered the scene to have Greedo shoot first. And Han's head makes this strange, blip. Oh, no, you didn't.
He does, doesn't he?
So the bolt hits, and then Han fires. Well, then the...
I see nothing wrong with Han firing first because he's been tracked down. He knows. It sounds to me in an arc like you said. Sounds like he knows Greedo.
Right.
He knows that kind of,
Right.
of scum, those bounty hunters,
Right.
that's going to shoot first, and he
Exactly.
got the draw on him. Sorry, dude.
I know.
It's Old West mentality.
And, I think it's been said before, but I think that's just George getting older, being a father, thinking, oh, that's not,
Yeah.
And it doesn't realize it takes the teeth out of the character. I think it hurts his story arc, and it's just something that they really could have left alone.
And that leads to the next scene, the entrance of Jabba the Hutt.
Right.
We finally get to see Jabba, which the original scene, I don't know if you all have ever seen the original one. Jabba the Hutt was a humanoid. He was not a slug.
Right. But they cut it because he wasn't sure. He wanted him to be more fantastical alien, and so they cut the scene because.
Do you like it?
I remember seeing it in, I think it was one of the old making of specials or something where I'd seen it.
The original
scene.
Yeah.
It was either a Scottish or an Irish actor. And
is he still alive?
I'm not sure.
I wonder if he does Comic Cons, if he's still,
Goodness.
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, he comes out and he has this conversation. The issue, the scene's cool, but it's from a writer's standpoint, you're just repeating the same thing that happened with Greedo. You're hitting the same beats. Han, you owe me money. I'll give you the money when I can.
So it's not really needed.
It's not needed. And
I agree. I think they should. I love the mystery of who is Jabba the Hutt. We don't see it until Return.
Right.
Leave it alone.
Right. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's neat when you see it. They've changed the animation since that original '97 release.
Oh, really?
It's still when Han crosses behind Jabba. He crossed behind the human actor, but they drew Jabba over him, so he has to basically
I've seen that.
up,
I know what you're talking about.
And they've changed that to make it not look so just basically up, move down. And they've added the different textures to make Jabba look a little. He looks pretty bad in that '97 version.
He did.
He doesn't look quite like we remember.
Oh, he almost looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, and I don't think those. And then I don't think. From that point on, there's nothing that's really too offensive, other than the fact that he replaced the model shots with CGI. And those people, that's what won the Academy Awards, the special effects, that's what made Star Wars so great. Those models, the intricate model work, and then just to draw over it with computer graphics.
So we're 50% saying leave it alone.
Yeah.
I
mean, clean up the print, give us what we want,
if you're going to add more, add a scene to it or something like that,
Yeah, just add and let the scene have worth, have value, Well,
if you notice,
not just be there for the sake of a new scene.
Yeah, if you notice the Jabba the Hutt scene, they introduced Boba Fett.
Oh, sure,
which and that was kind of neat.
And he does, and he looks right at the camera like, "Hey, folks." It's
he does.
It's definitely a wink at the camera.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters. If you look in there, there's a few of them that's around Jabba.
There's actually, and I assume it's another Rodian, or maybe it's just bad. Another reason they should have left it alone, but there's a Greedo in that scene.
Yeah, and that's where we get to, like you just said, you hit the nail. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
Let us have the mystery of who, because you hear Jabba the Hutt again in Empire, and obviously you see him, bam, right off the bat, and you're like, that's what he looks like.
Oh yeah.
Of course, we'll get to it later.
Right, we'll get to that eventually. Sure. So and then I remember the going to see. And this is the nerd moment for me. Going to see the movie on January 31st of 1997. Also, another day in nerd history, it was the Sci-Fi Channel premiere of Mystery Science Theater. The rebooted show from when they left Comedy Central. And so this night, I go see Star Wars in the theater, come home, watch the premiere of Mystery Science Theater. Cool. It was such a great evening. And at the time, I was living in an apartment by myself, and so it really was
you had
a moment.
You had nerd heaven.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you had all your figures and everything.
Sure. Yeah.
So did you have to look around your room and kind of go, hand behind the head,
Exactly. I had a poster back then. That it was a German poster that was had all three films on it. It was for a one night only screening or whatever. And I moved out of that apartment, and being young and stupid, I was just like, whatever, I'll just leave it there. I got all my junk, let's go. It turns out that poster's like, at the time, $600.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money still.
Yeah, it's a super rare poster, and I can't even remember how I found it. It might have even been a gift, and I was just like, whatever. It's just a poster.
I wish I moved in that apartment.
Right? But anyway, so that was
So whoever has that poster, it's Jeff's. You bring it back. You bring it back now. You Nerf herder.
You're right. I don't know if you're scruffy looking, but I assume.
Yeah, we don't know that.
We would be.
But we assume that you're a Nerf herder.
Right. So, well, any other thoughts you want to talk about?
No.
About the original film?
Just, without going into the toys, because that's what comes up in merchandise and
Right.
clothing, and
I think
that's what comes up
us-
next. And I'm trying to hold back
Right.
so bad because I've got vivid,
so many stories
and vivid memories where I got my first Star Wars toys. I know I'm leading into probably the next part. I'm seeing where this is maybe going to go. Now, are we going to the Empire for the next one, or are we going to go into toys?
I think we'll go ahead and do the toys on the next.
And then you'll go to
episode.
Empire and maybe. So let's give the folks a little tease. So on the next one, we're going to talk about toys.
Yeah.
Is it just the original Star Wars,
Right.
not the Empire Strikes
Right.
Back? So
we'll stick
love
to
it.
Star Wars.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah. So our next episode for sure will be discussing the Kenner toys
And merchandise.
released in the wake and
Many
Star
Christmases
Wars.
and birthdays, folks.
Oh yes.
Can you imagine? You can't wait. I know you're getting excited about this. This is going to be so much fun and so cool. Maybe we'll do a call-in one day, too, on all this stuff once we get it all wrapped up.
Right. This is just our first episode, so we don't. We're just kind of
Testing the waters.
testing the waters, playing it by ear.
It's kind of warm.
Yeah, the content will, the production quality will get better, of course. This is just a pilot episode, even. But I guess that's about all for today.
Yeah, this is David Wolf.
Yep, and this is Jeffrey. Thanks for listening to the Nerd Invasion podcast.
That's
You can follow the show on Twitter at Nerd Invasion Pod. That's all one word, at Nerd Invasion Pod. You can follow myself. That's at _skull. And you can check out my YouTube channel where I feature videos relating to toys and toys collecting. You can follow Dave. He's a published author and actor.
That's right.
His websites are hauntsofowensboro.com. That's hauntsofowensboro.com. And his acting website, davidwolf.us. That's Wolf, WOLFE. He's got that E because he's a little extra special.
Oh, hey. Thank you. Well, this is great.
Yes, and this show is part of the International Nerd Team, which you can follow on Twitter. That's at NerdTeam_INT. And fellow Nerd Team members can be found on YouTube as well, such as Cyber Tiger Retro, Hooded Cobra Commander 788, and Transformers and Beer podcast. Thanks again for listening to the debut episode of Nerd Invasion. Be sure to follow us to keep up with the latest episodes and how to add us to your RSS feed. Once again, I'm Jeffrey.
I'm David Wolf.
And as always, OSQUINOXO.
That's right.
Well, there we go. 36 minutes and 5 seconds.
Fist pump.
Oh, fist bump, yes.